everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be playing around with the new Kkw Beauty Soo Fire Collection. So I have everything from that collection. I have the palette, which this is what the actual box looks like. It's really cute, but the palette is exactly the same. So I'm kind of happy it's different packaging than all the others. And there are 3 different eyeliners in this collection. So we have yellow, copper, and rust. So those are the 3 eyeliners. And then there are 3 glosses. So I bought the entire collection, which retails for $115 for the entire bundle. The palette is $45. The lip glosses are $18 each. The eyeliners are $10 each, or you can buy the bundle of 3 eyeliners for $25, or you can buy the 3 glosses for $42. So if you guys are new to my channel, welcome. I am actually a huge fan of Kkw Beauty brand. I'm not a super fan of the Kardashians or anything like that. In fact, I haven't watched the Kardashians for years, so I don't really keep up with what they're doing and stuff like that. I do like the Kkw Beauty brand as a whole. I have every eyeshadow palette that she has launched. I have several lipsticks, several lip liners. The nude one in particular are my favorite. I actually created a video, I will link up here in the iCards and also in the description box down below. I created a video going through all of the actual lipsticks that I have from her line and swatched them all so you guys can see what they look like. I'm assuming this video is going to be quite long because I am going to be doing 4 different eyeshadow looks, and also at the end of the video I am going to do some comparisons to other palettes that I have in my collection just to kind of swatch it and see if it's similar to some of the other palettes that I have. So I will leave timestamps in the description box down below for those of you that just want to jump ahead. So that's what we're doing today. I'm super excited about it. So without further ado, let's jump right into the tutorials. Because I'm not a makeup artist, it's very hard for me to open up a palette and be inspired by it if it's not color coordinated. Like if the colors are set up weird, it's very hard for me to be creative. This one is set up really creative for me. So you have like the brown kind of tones here, and then you have some of your red, like bold shades right here, and then you have the purples here on the end. I like how this palette is laid out. It's very easy for me to look down at this palette and be creative. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take like a normal, like fluffy brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Crater of Hekla. Hey Google, what does Crater of Hekla mean?
Here are the top search results.
It's a volcano south of Iceland. All right, cool. Now I know what Hekla is. Hey Google, thank you.
I'm here to help.
Thanks, appreciate you. Now I did put down some P. Louise eyeshadow base. So I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush and I'm gonna go into the very first shade, this one right here, which is called Kahlua. Hey Google, how do you pronounce the word K-I-L-A-U-E-A?
That's pronounced the word Kilauea.
Kilauea? 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 Kilauea is an active volcano in the Hawaiian Islands. Okay, so I'm gonna go into Kilauea. I'm gonna set down my eyeshadow primer with that shade. Now I'm gonna take this brush and I'm gonna go into Crater of Hekla. I'm gonna go into the shade Lava, and Lava looks like it has a little bit of a shimmer to it. So let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that's pretty. It's like a brick rustic red. It's really pretty. Okay, now I'm gonna bring that shade right here in this inner corner. It's kind of giving me the Sunrise palette vibes from Natasha Denona. That's what it's kind of reminding me of. I might have to compare this palette to that palette because it's kind of just giving me the same vibe. Okay, so I'm gonna go into Molten Magma, and I'm gonna take just a brush like this. Well, let's see what it looks like dry. I'm gonna go in with my finger. Now I don't have nails at the moment. That shade is so pretty, you guys. Oh, so pretty. It's so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna go into the next one right next to it. Golden Ember. We're just gonna have fun with it. Why not? Oh, look how bright that shade is. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna take any brush that's kind of short and kind of stubby. I'm gonna go into this shade right here, which is called Molten Magma. And I'm gonna directly put that underneath the lash line, but I am gonna kind of dampen it just a tad. For the inner corner on this eye, I'm gonna go into that bright yellow, the Golden Ember shade, and I'm gonna dampen it just a tad and pop that right here. Kind of brings that yellow out. Oh, so pretty. That is so pretty, you guys. I love that shade. I did not know that these were eyeliners. I totally thought that they were lip liners. So we have 3 different shades. Ooh, we have this really pretty yellow gold. This is like the same shade as that like molten. Oh, I'm gonna go over top right here. Okay, so I think I'm gonna take this and bring it right up close to the lash line. Oh my gosh, I like that shade. Like, this is a look. Like, this is not an everyday look for me, but this is beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna take that same brush. Now I've already set this side with the first shade in the palette. I'm gonna go back into Crater of Helka. Kind of build that up in the crease. I'm going to take a felt tip applicator and I'm going to go into Burnt and Bronzed, this one right here. Oh my gosh, that shade is so beautiful. Such a pretty shade. That shade is so beautiful. I thought it was just going to be like a normal like bronzy shade. This is not a normal bronzy shade. This shade is like kind of got a little bit of copper in it. And so it's got the bronze and the copper. Gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to go back into this brush. I'm going to go into that red one right next to it, the lava shade. And I'm going to kind of deepen up this outer corner with that shade. I'm going to go into Crater of Helka. For the inner corner, I'm just going to grab my M. Raise. I think any like golden highlighter will work. Like a golden base highlighter just to kind of pop right there. Like I didn't want to like go too overboard. I am going to take the red from this side and bring it right here. I'm gonna bring that along right here on this outer corner. They're actually pretty pigmented too. Okay, I went ahead and threw on just a little bit of mascara because I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to film as many looks as I can. So I think once I get done filming this, I'm just gonna film 2 other looks just to kind of, you know, play around with the palette. So and this one is called Flammable. So let's put it on the lip and see what it looks like. So that's what Flammable looks like. I didn't put any lip liner on. I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like without anything else to add to it. Very pretty though. Now let's put on Radiate. This gloss doesn't really go with the whole look. I am actually going to use this color, Copper, as a lip liner and then put the gloss on. So beautiful. I love it. I love that. This is the final look on both of these. I think both of these eyes turned out really, really pretty, and I'm loving the lip though. The lip is it's kind of making my day, I'm not gonna lie. So I will see you guys in the next look. So I'm actually going to use the 3 eyeliners first, just to kind of carve out some kind of look. I'm not sure. I reapplied my P. Louise eyeshadow base. So I'm going to take the rust colored one, put this rust color as close to the lash base as I can. I'm going to take a smudge brush and kind of blend it out so that it kind of, so it's just not so sharp. I'm taking some of that copper shade and I'm going over that red line just to kind of deepen it a little bit more. I saw Kkw Beauty had uploaded a video of Mario kind of doing something similar to this, because I've actually never used eyeliner like as the base and then worked my way in. But he did say in the video that this would like last all day. But I'm just kind of using it as a base just to kind of get everything kind of started. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to go into that molten magma. And I'm just kind of like smudging that on. I'm going to go into the shade Fire, kind of buff that into the crease. Kind of just creating that line. It's really pigmented, so now I'm just going to go in with a brush and kind of blend it out. I know it looks a little silly right now, but as soon as I get the rest of my makeup, it'll all pull together. But I am going to take my makeup wipe and sharpen this line. I am going to take my finger and go into that bright yellow and pop it right here on this middle. I'm going to take the rust colored eyeliner and actually, no, I'm going to take that gold one and go right up next to the lash line as close as I can get it. Then I'm going to take the rust colored eyeliner and go underneath it. And then I'm going to blend it out. For this eye, I want to do like a purple look. I know it's going to be weird having red and purple on each eye, but it's just easier that way. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to go into the shade Crater of Helka. And I am going to kind of put this down as like a base. And then I'm going to go into that purple shade called Peely's Curse, this one right here. And I'm going to pop that right over top of that, kind of building a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to take a flat tipped brush like this. And I'm going to go in and kind of build up this outer corner a little bit and then kind of work it into the crease. Now I'm going to go into Volcanic Haze. This one right here at the bottom. And it does have a nice like shimmer to it. So I'm going to deepen up this outer corner. Oh, that shade is so pretty. It's a beautiful purple, but it doesn't have, like it's got a little tiny bit of like flecks of shimmer in it, but not a lot. Like it's really pretty. I think I'm gonna take that flat tip, this right here, and I'm gonna go into the inner corner with this shade, which is Volcanic Haze. And I'm gonna bring that on the inner corner. Now, the best way if you wanna get shadow in here is tip your head and you can get right in there. Now I'm going to go into that really pretty purple called Fiery Eruption. I'm just going to go in with my finger first. It's so beautiful. Now I'm going to go back to this brush and go into that bottom one, Volcanic Haze. Is it Volcanic Haze? Yeah, Volcanic Haze. And just kind of buff and blend those edges. I am going to wipe this. Okay, now I'm gonna take and dip my finger into this shade right here, which is called Burnt and Bronzed. And I'm gonna put a tiny bit of that, like right over top of that purple, right in the middle. I'm gonna use the copper colored one and go underneath the lower lash line. Because it's an eyeliner, I wonder if it would last longer than a normal shimmer shadow, you know? Like it feels like it has a little bit more of a tug to it. It's really pretty, I like that. So this is the final look, and I think both of these looks turned out good. I like all 4 of the looks. I did just get done spending 3 hours swatching this palette for you, comparing it to other palettes that I have in my collection. So I pulled some shades from the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, and the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I also pulled this shade right here to compare it to the bright yellow gold in this palette. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys images of swatches of these palettes, just so that you guys can see what they look like and how they compare, and you can push pause to check them out. The first shade is the KKW Beauty Burnt and Bronze shade. Now, none of the shades in any of the other palettes that I have in the ones that I just mentioned match that shade. That shade I said was very particular. It's a gold with a bronze combined, so it is a very unique shade. I also took it under the flash so you could see what the undertones are. I always like to do flashes when I do any type of swatches, just because the flash will just bring out the undertone in the shade. So in this picture, that is what you're seeing. You're seeing the undertone, which I do think that that is a very unique and beautiful shade. The next one is the Crater of Helka, and that is that really soft matte shade. And honestly, it is very similar to the Urban Decay Naked Heat Low Blow and the Urban Decay Born to Run in the shade Riff. So as you'll see in the flash, you'll see that those two are a little bit darker, but it's a normal matte brown. Like, I know that everybody has just that normal matte brown, and I probably could have found that shade in other palettes. I wanted to stick with these palettes just so that I could compare it to these palettes only, in case you have these palettes in your collection. Next up, we have the KKW Beauty, the shade Fiery Eruption, and that one was pretty similar to the shade Poppy in the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. So as you'll see in the no flash, you'll see that they're somewhat similar, but when you look at the flash picture, they're very similar. And also the Urban Decay Naked Heat, the shade Scorched, that one is also very, very similar to the shade Fiery Eruption. On the next picture, we have the KKW Beauty Pill's Curse. I think it's a really pretty purple shade, but it's almost like a purple and a brown combined. So the other purples that I had in those other palettes didn't really have that purplish brown, but it is just a normal purple brown. As you'll see in the flash, you can tell that it is definitely has that brown shade undertone to it. Next up, we have the KKW Beauty Golden Ember. And it is almost exact to this Natasha Denona the Holiday palette, and that gold shade in the middle. It is almost the exact same shade. It's also similar to the ABH Riviera palette, the shade Inheritance. I would say the Inheritance is a little bit more yellow, and the Natasha Denona and the KKW Beauty is a little bit more gold. Next up, I did a picture of the lip glosses. I wanted to show you guys what those swatches look like, and also what it looks like with a flash. And then we have the eyeliners, and I wanted to show you guys what those look like swatched and with a flash, so you could see kind of the undertones in the copper and the yellow gold. Finally, of course, we have the swatches of the actual palette. My arm is crooked, and so it was kind of hard for me to take pictures of my left arm. I broke my arm when I was a kid, and so like I have this big bump on it, and so when I was trying to lay it flat, it just looks really funky, so I'm sorry. Now that that we've got through all the swatches, let me give you guys my final thoughts. I like this palette. I don't feel like this palette is going to be a palette I reach for a lot, only because those shades are just not shades that I reach for that often. I do love my KKW Beauty Classic palette. That is the palette that I chose to take on vacation last week, just because that is the palette that I love and grab all the time. This one, I like it. I do feel like it's for those days where you're kind of wanting to spice things up a little bit, but I like the palette. I don't regret buying it. I will say, if you have the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, if you have the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, and you have the Born to Run, I don't really feel like you need this palette because you do have some similar shades in those palettes compared to this one. So this one is not unique in any way, in my opinion. I do love the layout of the shades though. Like I said, when I first saw it, that was something that kind of drew me in, is the placement of the shadows. It's very easy for me to be creative in a palette when the placement is good. So I love the placement of the shades. I think the shades are just like any of her other eyeshadows. And so if you're familiar with her other eyeshadows, I think you will not be disappointed in the way that they apply, the pigmentation. I didn't really get a lot of fallout, which I was, you know, pretty happy about. Overall, I think this is a nice and fun collection. I will definitely be using the eyeliners, probably somewhat more of a lip liner situation, but the yellow gold I thought was super fun. The glosses, the only one I like is the red. I'm not really a fan of these two. So this light one and this like bronzy weird shade, it looks really pretty in the packaging, but when you put it on, it's almost like a weird looking brown shade. It's like a muddy brown weird shade. I'm just not into it personally. I definitely like the red gloss though. I think that is definitely my favorite. So overall, I don't really like these two glosses. I just don't feel like they're unique shades. Like I would have enjoyed like maybe different shades of red. Maybe that would have been fun, but these two are just kind of blah. We all have different things that we like, but I definitely like the red. So overall, I think this is a super fun collection. Is it necessary? Probably not. You probably have these shades in other palettes, but it is a fun collection and it's definitely a decent quality of an eyeshadow palette. So those are my final thoughts on the palette. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys again for all the love that you guys show me in this channel. It means the absolute world to me. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day filled with love and joy. I will see you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye.